Yo, what's going on, guys? It's DFS Hart, and today I'm breaking down the 5-game NBA slate that we have on February 4th. Before we get into that, I just want to say welcome to my channel. My name is Hart, and I make daily NBA, NFL, and PGA slate breakdowns on Draftkings, where I'll be going over the best plays of the day and give you some building blocks and core plays that you can put into your lineups. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell, as it really helps out my channel, and I greatly appreciate it. Also, don't forget to follow me on Twitter at DFS Hart to keep updated on all things DFS. That is where I'll be giving core plays. Like for the Waste Management Phoenix Open, I was unable to make a video, so I gave some core plays out. They're just starting, so hopefully they do well. I really like my lineup I made for that. I will give I give some precursors to like what value and what core plays are still viable after all the injury news. So make sure to check that out. Follow me on Twitter. And before we get into it, I just want to go over my lineup from last night. I ended up getting 111 out of I think 35,000 or 3,500 were in my contest, so not bad. $8, nothing huge, but it's nice to cash. I'm pissed because I was going back and forth between Quickly and Halliburton. As you guys know from my videos, I love Halliburton, and I had him in there, and I changed him at the last second. And unfortunately, I watched the game. Quickly just wasn't involved. He wasn't hitting his shots, and Alfred Payton ended up having his best game in the past month, so they gave more run to Payton. If I had Halliburton in there, I think he got 35 fantasy points. That would have gotten me into, I think, what was it? So, about 24 more fantasy points, 237. I would have been top 10, winning a couple hundred. And then I was with D'Lo. I think it was fine, but if you would have got me a little bit more points, I could have got a chance of taking this down. But yeah, as I mentioned in the video, Diallo, good value. DeRozan, good play. Sabonis, really hard to get away from at that price. Did great. Podol ended up starting, becoming, amazing value. D'Lo did fine. And then, Tatum went off, which is great to see. And then Theo Maledon did well. So all the chalk value hit, which is nice. And then I told you guys I was going more with the balanced approach, and it did well. Could have done really well if I stuck with Halliburton, but oh well, that happens. Now let's get into it. Good old 5-gamer. We got the Jazz Hawks, 7.5 point spread, 227 over under. Warriors Mavericks, 2.5 spread, 228 over under. Trailblazers and 76ers, 8.5 point spread, 225 over under. Rockets Grizzlies, 2.5 point spread, 223.5 over under. And Nuggets Lakers, 5 point spread, 216.5 over under. We'll start off with the Utah and Atlanta side. We got Donovan Mitchell at the top at 7-8. I think it's a great matchup for him against Atlanta. He'll be pretty popular today, but I think it's well worth it. He's probably going to play, close to 35, maybe even a little bit more minutes. A lot of their games recently have been blowouts, like Golden State, New York, Denver, Detroit. So he's been getting his full run, and it's kind of showing in the box scores, but he's in a great spot today. I really like Donovan Mitchell at 7-8 against Atlanta. He will be popular, but that's fine. Rudy Gobert, more of just, a low-owned GPP play for me. He'll probably have a little bit of ownership at 7.5 against Atlanta, but it's not the best spot. He's been losing some minutes to blowouts, but I think this game will be close, so you don't have to worry about, his minutes going down. So I think he's, in a fine spot. He has some upside at 7.5, so you can definitely land on him. He'd be like a fringe secondary play for me. Mike Conley at 6'6". I think he's always in play. He's got a pretty good safe floor of about 30 plus fantasy points. If he's doing well, he can get you 40 plus. So at 6'6", it's not the best price tag, but I do have a little bit of interest in Conley. And then Bogdan and Clarkson. Bogdan has been doing better. Clarkson's been, losing some minutes to the blowouts, but out of those two, I think I take the shot on Clarkson. Royce O'Neal, not for me. He's been, having one good game out of every 6. I want to chase that. And then Derek Favors has been getting about 20 minutes a game because of the blowouts, so I don't think you get to go there either. It's just more of Donovan Mitchell at the top for me, and then secondary plays like Gobert, Conley, or one of the scoring guards, Bogdan or Jordan Clarkson. On the Atlanta side, Trae Young at the top, 9-3. Not the best matchup, obviously, going against Utah, they're pretty good defensively, ranked number 1 right now. But I still think Trey has the ability to go off in this game at 9-3. Price hasn't really changed. He's getting 40. He was going 50 or more fantasy points like 8 or like 10 games in a row. And obviously you played the Lakers a little bit, or Dallas. They're not giving up a ton of points to point guards, and you kind of saw that 41, which is still decent. So I think he'll be a little bit lower owned today. There's other plays people would rather pay up for, but I'm fine with you landing on him. He'll be a low owned, pretty good GPP play. It's just tough going against that number 1 defensive rank for point guards. Clint Capella 8-7. He's just a little too high for me. He still has massive upside, but I don't think you have to do it. John Collins, I'd say he's probably my favorite player to take a stab on this game. He's playing about 35 to closer to 40 minutes a game. I know he did a great game against Dallas last night, but I think his price hasn't moved. He's still in a decent matchup. I think it would be Bogdan would be guarding John Collins, so I do like John Collins a good amount on this side. Herter having a great game at 5-5. You can definitely go there again. His price tag's not too high. He is a pretty good shooter. He's playing a ton of minutes, as we see, 39-30, 39-38 if it's close. So if this game stays close, Herter's going to be getting a ton of minutes, and he really has a good shot of getting you more than 25 to 30 fantasy points if his threes are falling. I know I mentioned Cam Reddish every video. I'm still going to do it. He's 4-7. His price it's okay. He hasn't been playing great. 3 of 8, 1 of 8, 11 fantasy points, 6 fantasy points. But as we saw at the beginning of the season, he still has, pretty high upside. High 20s, even to the high 30s if he's doing well. So he's someone you can always take a shot on. He's just more of a dart throw. And that does it for me on this side. Moving on to the Golden State-Dallas game. Steph, I think he'll be low owned. I'm not 100% guaranteed or sure on that, but we'll have to see. 9-8, he's always in play. As I mentioned, every slate, can get you 70 plus easily. Got it last game against Boston. So Steph is firmly in play with that price tag. Wiggins, Oubre. If I were to take a shot on someone, I think it'd be Wiggins. He's a little bit more consistent. Oubre's just so up and down. Now, Draymond is shaping up to be a pretty chalky play of today. Golden State's power forwards and centers are all pretty much hurt, and they're all bad. So as you saw last game, Draymond played 36 minutes. Obviously, he's not a great scorer, 1 of 7. But rebounds, assists, block steals, they're all there for him. And if he hits his shots, he has a chance of even, closer into the 40s fantasy point-wise. So I do like Draymond a good amount. He'll be very popular today, but he's in a great spot, just minutes-wise. With him playing a small ball center. Wiseman's still out. And then this is obviously a team we have to keep an eye out on for the news. We just got to see what they're going to do with their starting 5. Pascal was absolute chalk, and he did terrible. He only played 14 minutes, 4.5 fantasy points, and he was like 60 or 70% owned most tournaments. And then Toscano Anderson ended up playing the second half and starting. Played 27 minutes, shot the ball pretty well. Got you 16, real life points, 25.5 fantasy points. It'll just be interesting to see who they start and who plays. If Toscano Anderson starts, you can definitely take a shot on him at 3-5. But I also think Pascal would be sneaky. People are going to be, people are pissed that they played him last game and he absolutely failed. It's a decent matchup for him to come off the bench, get some run. They might start, maybe someone like Kent Bazemore. So we'll have to see. Obviously, I think Draymond's the number 1 clear play right now, and then Steph. And then after that, it's just we have to wait on news to see if we get any good value from Golden State. On the Dallas side, we got Luke at the top at 10-9. He's just like Steph. He's always in play. He had he finally broke the 50-point fantasy mark. Got 64. Did really well against Atlanta. It's another great matchup for him. Steph's not great at defense. I don't think he'll be guarding him. They'll probably put Wiggins or Kelly Oubre on Luka, and that's still fine. I do like the matchup. Price is up there, but I think value will open up today where you can get up to Luka. he shouldn't be too high owned. So I think he's a good play today. Porzingis, I really like Porzingis today for some reason. At 7-7, it's a good price tag on him. His minutes are slowly creeping up. Probably get at least 35. It's a close game. He has pretty good upside. He hasn't really flashed it a ton this season, but he could get you high 40s into the 50s. And at 7-7, that's pretty good, especially in this matchup. No one's going to be able to guard Porzingis on the other side. Tim Hardaway, Richardson. If I were to take a shot on one of them, it'd be, Jason Richardson. He has been playing better. Or Josh Richardson, sorry. He has been playing better, only shot 3 of 11, but still played 36 minutes. Still got you there 32 fantasy points. So I'm fine if you land on Josh. I don't think I'm going to do it at 4-9, but they're more secondary plays. If Willie Cauley-Stein starts at 4-1, you can definitely look to him for value. It just, it depends on the news due to, where is it? Never mind, I thought there was news. So who do they start? Luka, Porzingis, Josh Richardson. Never mind. I want to get to Willie Cauley-Stein. Forget about that. Because everyone's back and healthy. I would say you could definitely take a shot on Maxi Kleber. 3-6. Played 32 minutes last game. He's not a high usage guy, but he can definitely get you there if he's playing the minutes. Mid to high 20s fantasy points. So I do like him at 3-6 in this matchup against Dallas. Or against Golden State. I think Golden State, they like to run small ball. Draymond at the 5. So I think Kleber is going to be a great pick. And then you can take a shot on a guy like Dorian Finney-Smith as well at 3-9. He lost some minutes to Kleber, but he's going to probably play about at least 30 minutes. A little bit better shooter and rebounder than Kleber. So I think both these guys are some of the top value plays on the slate today. Moving on to Portland and Philly. The biggest news of the day is Dame at 10-4. If he's in, I think he'll be a good low-owned GPP play. Not a lot of people want to get to him in this matchup against Philly. There's some blowout risk, but he'd be in a great spot. But now let's say if he's out, Enes Kanter becomes somewhat viable at 7K. Obviously, I don't like targeting bigs that have to guard in Joel Embiid. Enes Kanter loves to foul, so he'll be a very low-owned GPP play, especially if Dame is out. So if you want to get there, sure, but I don't trust it. I think he's in foul trouble. Guys like Gary Trent, Covington, Anthony, Simons, Hood, and possibly Derek Jones Jr., all their usage will go through the roof if Dame is out. I think my favorite play out of them is obviously Anthony Simons at 4-6. He got limited last game because of a hamstring injury, but I do expect him to start if Dame is out. He'll be probably the best value play on the slate today. And then I'd say Gary Trent Jr. and Carmelo are tied for second after that. As we see, they're going to shoot a ton. Gary Trent Jr. has played really well over the past 8 games, playing close to 40 minutes a game. He's shooting the ball, pretty high, but he's a fine shooter, good shooter. It's fine if you go to him. I guess you could take a shot on Melo over Gary Trent. He's only 4-9. He'll probably play closer to 30 minutes, maybe even a little bit more. Decent shooter, can get you, rebounds, maybe a few assists. So I think if Dame is out, my favorite play is Anthony Simons. Really chalk, but that's fine. And then I'd say Carmelo is number 2 on that list for me, and then Gary Trent Jr. will be number 3. And then you can take a shot on guys like Derek Jones Jr. if they're back, or Hood. But they're pretty scoring dependent. I don't know if it's for me. So we'll just have to keep an eye out on the news for Portland with Dame. On the Philly side, Joel Embiid is in a smash spot. Obviously, no one's going to be able to guard him pretty much like every game. He's getting you high 50s, closer to 60s almost every game right now. Playing about 35 to 40 minutes if it's close. There is a little bit of blowout risk, but Enes Kanter is not going to be able to handle Joel Embiid, so it's a great spot for him. It is a back-to-back, though, so we have to keep an eye out on this. Maybe Joel doesn't play because he hasn't really been playing in back-to-backs. So if he's in, obviously he's the number 1 play, and then you can take a shot on a guy like... I always mention Seth. He's been playing terrible, but at 4-6, as we saw at the beginning of the season, He has high 30s upside when he's hitting his shots. He's still trying to get back into the grind. He's been doing bad, but as I mentioned, you can buy low on guys. He's high 30s, 40 upside if he's hitting his shots. So he's just a very risky GPP dart throw if you want to go there. But if Joel, let's say he's out, obviously Ben Simmons becomes one of the best players on this team of the slate. So would Tobias Harris. It'd give a little bit more usage to Seth Curry. Maybe he'll have a little bit higher floor than his 10 points he's getting right now. And then guys like Dwight Howard and Tony Bradley would be chalk. Now, we have been getting trolled about who starts. The first game Dwight started, he did bad. Tony Bradley did great off the bench. Second game, Tony Bradley started, he did bad. Dwight did great off the bench. So I'd be fine if you went with the guy who comes off the bench for the centers. They seem to be doing the better right now out of the starters. So we'll just have to keep an eye out on the news for this team. Houston, Memphis. Excuse me. Christian Wood at the top, 8-8. It's a great matchup for him. It's just his minutes have been kind of down. It did blow out last game, so he only played 22. Blowout before that, it was only 26 minutes. So the past 3 games have been blowouts for them, which is unfortunate. So I guess his minutes are not really in question. When it's a close game, he's getting about 35 minutes, maybe a little bit more. He's averaging double-double on the season. His price tag is kind of expensive, but, I'd be fine if you land on him at 8-8. Great matchup. Victor Oladipo is questionable. They said he was doubtful to play today just because of rest. So we'll definitely have to watch this news. If he's out, John Wall should be back, and he'll probably be getting 30, maybe a little bit more minutes. He'll be one of the best plays of the day. So this is news we have to watch. Eric Gordon, 5'8", becomes one of the best, shooting guards plays of the day at 5'8". He'll play, 30 to 35 minutes with no Oladipo. He's score independent, but he's a good shooter, been playing well. So I'd definitely look to Eric Gordon with Oladipo most likely being out. Same with John Wall. I'd say they're the 2 favorite plays on this team if Oladipo's out. And then Christian would be 3rd for me. That really does it. It's just, John Wall, great spot today with Oladipo most likely being out. Eric Gordon, same thing, great spot. And then Christian Wood would be like the 3rd guy I'd look to. On the Houston side, or Memphis side, the minutes has just been, they make no sense. They're still running the 12-man rotation. Obviously, a lot of their games have been blowouts recently. So it's just, they're losing a ton of minutes to that. So I don't really know what to make of this team. Obviously, Ja's in a great spot. I think his ownership will still be a little bit lower owned just because of the minutes-wise. They're running guys like DeAnthony Melton, Bane. So I am perfectly fine with you guys playing John Morant 7-6. He's high upside. It's just we don't know if we're going to get the minutes out of them. If you think that happens, definitely look to Ja. Brandon Clark would be a pretty good price at 6K. Dylan Brooks is at a good price at 5.9. And then you could look to a guy like Tillman and Dieng at those prices. All their whole starting 5, even though Dieng doesn't start to back up Tillman, but pretty much the whole starting 5 besides Kyle Anderson are firmly in play for their prices. It's a great matchup, great spot. It's just, do we know if they get the minutes? Which I don't know. If you don't think the starters get the full run, the full minutes, you can continue looking to guys like DeAnthony Melton, Tyus Jones, Desmond Bane, maybe even Conchar, because they're giving guys 20 to 34 minutes. Starters and bench. So it's just a mess. I think I might avoid this team. I'm not sure yet. I'm gonna wait for more news to come out later today, so we'll have to see about that. But yeah, it's kind of hard to break them down right now with the whole minutes wise. But I would say Jaws in a more one play. Denver, LA, the last game of the day. This should be a really great game to watch. I'm excited. Western Conference Finals matchup from the bubble. We got Jokic at the top, 11K. I think he'll be very low owned today. I don't think people are going to pay 11K, especially in this matchup. But as we see, he has huge upside, and he did very well against them in the bubble. So I'm more than fine if you go into Jokic. He'll have a low ownership tag. Jamal Murray, always a great GPP player. He is 50 plus fantasy point upside. Has he really gotten it this year? No, but he does have that upside. And at 6'8", even if he gets you in the high 40s, which he probably should this game, that's a great price for him. Michael Porter Jr., it's shaping up for me to really like him this slate. I really liked him last game when they were going to play, I think it was Detroit, and the game got canceled. And I still cashed somehow, but I do really like MPJ. He should get about 25, at least 25 minutes. I'd say closer to 30 to 35 if he's playing well. He did well against the Lakers coming off the bench. Or he started, but he did well against the Lakers in the Western Conference Finals. I think he'll be a sneaky low-owned GPP play, so I really like him today. I really like all the guys in Denver side. Jokic, Murray, Porter Jr. You can take a shot on Barton. I think he'll be pretty, popular at 5'2". It's a decent price for him. He's playing a lot of minutes, but I don't think we have to chase that. Gary Harris is still out, so that makes guys like, where is he? Monte Morris viable at 4'2". He'll probably be a pretty popular, high-owned GPP play. Going to play about 25, maybe even closer to 30-plus minutes now with Gary Harris out. I'm assuming he'll start, so he's decent value. But yeah, I'd say my favorite player on this side is probably MPJ. I know that's very risky, but that's what I like. And then Murray would be my second favorite, and then Jokic. On the Lakers side, we got LeBron and AD at the top. They're finally playing the high minutes that we saw last year, which is great. They haven't really flashed a ton of upside, but they can still easily get you there. As we saw with LeBron, he's easily 70, 80 plus fantasy point upside if he's having a big triple-double game. He is more consistent than Davis, so I think I'd look to LeBron over Anthony for only 300 more. Obviously, LeBron will probably have a little bit higher of a price or ownership tag than Anthony, but that's fine. You can definitely go to Anthony Davis if you want. I just don't think it's in play for me today. He also did very well against the Nuggets in the playoffs, but I just rather go to LeBron with that safer floor. And then guys like Schroeder, Harrell, Kuzma, Pope, Caruso, these guys are all secondary plays for me. They're fine. They're viable. I just don't know if you have to do it. You can take a shot on a guy like Marcus Gasol. They're going to need him to guard Jokic, so he'll probably get closer to 25 minutes a game, which doesn't mean he's going to do a lot, but you can definitely take a shot on him. He's only 3-3, so they'll give you a ton of salary relief. But I think it's just mostly, LeBron is number one play for me, and then Anthony Davis. And then I'd say, look to Schroeder or Harrell to be the third best player on this slate for them today. You can take a shot on Kuzma too. It's just, I just only like LeBron and Davis on the side for me at the top. And now I'm going to give you a little bit of a core before I get out of here. So, as I mentioned, I really like MPJ for some reason today. I don't know why they always put it. Let's go this way so they don't put it in the utility spot. Michael Porter Jr. Anthony Simons will be higher owned than Monte Morris, but I'm fine with eating that chalk. He's a little bit better offensively than Monte Morris. Who else? Simons, MPJ. I do like the balanced approach again today. I think that's the route I'm going to go. But Porzingis. And let's see if we can get Big Joe on there. So I think this is my core for today. We'll have to see, depending on some injury news. Maybe Joe doesn't play, so that switches things up. But for right now, at 11 a.m., this is what I'm going with. So, but most likely it'll change by later in the day. Just, follow me on Twitter at DFSHeart. I'll let you guys know. I just want to say, thank you for tuning in. Hit that like button. Please subscribe and hit that notification bell as it truly helps out my channel. And I hope you guys all cash today, and I look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow.